What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the PATP Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas. Shout out to the Coffee Club. Hope everybody's doing well out there this morning. If you guys are watching on YouTube today, you're getting the raw feed, man. You're going to see me hanging out here in my garage. You're going to see me walking around in my neighborhood at midnight. Hopefully I don't get arrested by anybody while I'm out here, but just one of those nights. If you are a parent and you have had a colicky baby, you know that the in-home office sometimes it's just a no-go, even if you have some soundproofing. It's brutal stuff, man. But we're hanging in there. So I'm out of the house this evening, so we can get this show done. The show must go on. You guys know the drill. That's how it works around here. But let's get into some basketball, shall we? We are just a couple days away from Arkansas's big matchup in East Lansing with Michigan State, and we know it's going to be a big one. We're going to look more at this game on tonight's episode. Usually I record the night before and I'm like, oh, good morning, happy Thursday, like I just did. But you guys can see behind me, it's dark. It's late Wednesday night as we record here. But one of the things we're going to look at is just the rarity of a game like this being played on campus this early. It's just not something that happens too frequently, but that's where we're at here. We're going to talk about the battle of the bigs, where I think Arkansas is just going to face an entirely different challenge than it has so far. And they've faced some good front courts, but this is a little bit different. What Arkansas is going to see, the big men are going to have to step up in a big way. We're also going to dive into why the computers hate Arkansas and maybe what the Hogs can do to, fix it, because we're going to want them to do that. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at the Drain Masters of Arkansas. Drain Masters are officially licensed in plumbing and drain cleaning while serving the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma, and beyond. They're ready to handle the plumbing and drain cleaning needs with professional, reliable service. To request one of those services, all you got to do is give them a call, 479-646-5585, or scan the QR code that is not on your screen because we don't have it today, but give them a call, or you can also go to their Facebook page and like them at Drain Masters Inc. Be sure when you hit them up to let them know that that Inside Arkansas sent you. They'll give you 10% off of all your services, and if you've ever had some plumbing done, you know that it can be a little bit pricey, so check them out. Anything and everything plumbing related, no job too big or too small, Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. Okay, let's see here. Let me pull up my other notes and see where we're at. Actually, I guess before we get started with the rest of the stuff, let's go through a couple of recruiting tidbits that I wanted to talk about. One of which I dropped on the Discord on Wednesday, but I spoke with one national source about our man Baba Oladotun, and he told me he believes Arkansas is the leader, with Georgetown being the only other perceived contender. I know there's some chatter out there elsewhere that maybe Maryland is more involved than meets the eye. I'm not saying that's absolutely incorrect. Maybe it's not. Maybe they are in there. But based on what I've been told from places that I really trust that are close to that recruitment, I don't really see that being the end game here. So unless something has changed recently, I'm not so sure about that one. Now, more notably, and this is what we talked about on the Discord, had a friend from the high major coaching ranks hit me Wednesday morning basically saying, hey, congratulations to Arkansas with Baba. And said that, his school had been trying to, kind of get into the mix late. Maybe they thought they could snag a visit and see if they could make something of it. But they kind of got shut down there. And he told me that the word was that Baba was going to wind up at Arkansas and that it was going to be an expensive get, which that doesn't surprise me because he's a really good player. But sour grapes from my boy, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But was also told not to be surprised if Arkansas, got him and ended up with 1 to 2 more of this group of Jordan Smith Jr., Brandon McCoy, Caleb Hold, and Mika Murinen, depending on how things look retention-wise when those guys get into decision mode. And McCoy might be one who, opts to make his decision a little bit earlier. We'll see. He just doesn't have a definitive timeline. The other guys, it seems like they're waiting on some other dominoes, maybe waiting until the spring. We know Mika's overseas, so we'll see. But apparently Cal's been pushing the whole idea of kind of getting back to his roots and rocking with the freshmen. And he's been heavy on the, hey, you see my 2 freshmen right now, and you could see a bunch more just like them that I have coached that they're going to be playing in the league with next year. Come here, you could be next. So take that however you please, but I would say considering the source, that was definitely something that was worth passing along. So wanted to share that real quick before we get into the other stuff. Now, back on topic here. I love the recruiting stuff, by the way. I'm excited about the future, but I'm just all kinds of jacked up about the right now, the here, the present with this Razorback basketball team. We talk about it every single day, and it just feels like this could be a special group, a fun team. You know, for the last several years, there's been a large number of folks in, you know, that cover the sport of college basketball on a national scale, locally, whatever, have been disappointed in just the lack of marquee games early in the season. You know, the first week or two of the season. And you have your, you know, some of these little classics and events and everything. There's some, but there just hasn't been much. And the way people look at it, and I kind of understand, like you're competing with the NFL and the NBA and with college football, and then all of your best teams that you could showcase and get eyeballs on, they're not playing anybody that's worth watching. It's kind of like Arkansas playing Southern, for example, right? Like, did that do a whole lot for anyone outside of Razorback fans who were going to watch them anyway? I'm not so sure if that was the case. There's strategy involved to this, right? Like most coaches, I think it makes sense. Like they would prefer to ease their way into the season a little bit. I mean, you know, work out some kinks, figure out who you are before you play somebody who's just as good or potentially better than you. Like I understand the logic there. And I will say, though, there's been a shift the last couple of years with this where we're seeing more spotlight games early, and I love it. You know, ranked matchups, and frankly, just games worth watching the first week of the season to start piquing people's interest and get them rolling with college hoop. They're not all sickos like we are. They don't all talk about this in, hell, what were we I mean, it's 365 days a year. You know, is everybody talking about college hoops in June or July? No, they're really not. So it's just kind of one of those things, man. But for the most part, these are neutral site games that we're seeing, right? Like think about Arkansas last year. The second game of the season was at American Airlines Center in Dallas. They played Baylor. It was awesome. Me and John went to that. We had a great time. It was a blast. And sure, like there's risk involved with, you know, taking an early loss or maybe getting exposed on some things that you're trying to figure out early. Every team has flaws, but I think it was pretty clear to anybody who watched Arkansas last year, like in that Baylor game, they just weren't quite ready for that type of game, not quite ready for that type of moment yet, which is why I am so intrigued by this game happening on Saturday. Because not only is Arkansas playing a ranked Michigan State team the first weekend of the regular season, they're traveling and they're playing it as a true road game. And it's in one of the top atmospheres in the Big Ten. And as I understand it, it was John Calipari who made the phone call to set this thing up. So what does that tell you about how he feels about his team? Now, there is no way in hell he would do that if he didn't feel very, very good about his team. We've talked about this. I heard an interview with Tom Izzo. I think it was with John Rothstein. I'm pretty sure that was the case. It was a little bit early. He was halfway joking, but he kind of said, man, Cal must think that we're going to be down this year at Michigan State because he does not schedule on the road in non-conference. And it's true, he doesn't. So, you know, we're going to talk about the computers and their disdain for Arkansas here in a little bit. But I think one way to fix it and kind of get on the good side of the math there, the algorithm, whatever, go beat Michigan State on the road the first week of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to if you want to put a fly in their serum, that's the way to do it. But I do just want everybody to understand the rarity of what we're getting ready to see here because it's very, very cool, man. Shout out to Hogstats, by the way. This is the first time a ranked Arkansas team has played a ranked opponent in a true road game in November in the AP poll era. And that goes all the way back to 1949. That is crazy, man. That's crazy. That this is the first time that Arkansas has played a ranked-on-ranked matchup in November on the road. I just, you know, I knew it was something that didn't happen too often. I just didn't think it was like that. And it's a rarity going into this season. You know, of the teams ranked in the preseason AP Top 25, here's the list of programs that are going on the road to test themselves on opening week here. Arkansas at Michigan State, Kansas at North Carolina, that's on Friday, and Bama at St. John's, sort of. That's at Madison Square Garden. St. John's plays a lot of their games there. You want to call that a true road game? Fine. That's it. The end. So good on John Calipari. Good on Bill Self. Good on Nate Oates for having the double Bs, right? The balls and the belief in their teams to just kind of throw them into the fire in hostile territory right out of the gates, right out of the starting blocks. That's impressive stuff, man. Good on them for doing it. Now you got to go play well, right? And make it look like it was worth your while. Hey, today's episode of the Pot the Palace is also presented by our friends over at Air of the Ozarks, your #1 heating and cooling company in Northwest Arkansas since 2018. Air of the Ozarks Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving Northwest Arkansas with trusted HVAC repairs and installation services for all residential and commercial clients. They understand your HVAC system is a major investment. It certainly is. I've replaced one, not here, but in St. Louis. Trust me when I say you want to keep up with the keep up, right? So it is what it is, man. But hit up Air of the Ozarks and let them keep you warm this winter. The seasons are changing. It's getting cooler. I turned my heat on for the first time last week when it was pretty chilly. Got to turn it back off, which I'm thankful for. But have them come out there and check you out. Request an estimate or a service by calling 479-795-2018. The first 20 callers that call will get a free preventative maintenance or service call. Every caller that's a new customer after the first 20 callers is going to receive half off preventative maintenance or a service call. So no matter what, when you call Air of the Ozarks, you're going to get a great deal. You can also check out their website at airoftheozarks.com. It's Air of the Ozarks, better air, better service, just better. Okay. Guys, where do we stand on Arkansas's front court is a question that I feel like I need to ask you here today. You know, actually, do you guys mind? Can I walk around a little bit? I think I've got I want to say somewhere over here I have my little ring light that I could clip on and walk around so you guys can see me. I'm kind of tired of standing here at the edge of my garage. Here it is. Here it is. Let me clip this thing onto the old phone here. This is real-time stuff, people. All right, there we go. But seriously, with the front court, because you guys know I was very high on Arkansas's trio, right? And I still am. Like, I just love the blend of skill sets. Should be an excellent rebounding group. Should, I think, pose a lot of matchup problems for people. I would say, though, so far, not that I'm disappointed. I'm not by any means, but it's been a little more up and down, I guess, than I expected early on. Is that fair to say? Like, there's just some meat on the bone left for improvement from the guys up front. Now, Trevor Brazil has been awesome. I don't think you can ask for much more than what you've received out of him. Can you? Like, he's been really, really good for Arkansas. I'm excited about it, and I think there's just more to come. But it's really, I think that 5 spot, that center position that, I don't know, I feel like we aren't squeezing all the juice from the orange, so to speak. Just leaving a little bit out there. You know, with Nick Pringle, I still feel like we're just now getting to know him, because he was so limited in exhibition play. You know, he had the 2 games with, he only played 11 minutes. I'll say this, though, you know, he started against Southern, he played 25, and he gave you 8 points, 8 rebounds, and played great defense. You know, Cal kind of applauded him for his defense in that game. If you could tell me I could just sign, I would never get anything better, never get anything worse, but I could sign up for 8 points, 8 rebounds, and good defense in 25 minutes from Nick Pringle all season, I would take that. I think I would take it in a heartbeat. Sign me up for that, man. Why not? Malik Ewan, I know I've talked about him a lot, and the reason being, I want him to be my favorite player on this team. There's nothing I love more than a skilled offensive big man on the basketball floor. It's just, I coached big men when I coached at Lindenwood. That was kind of my thing. Did the scouting reports, did a lot of recruiting, and I coached the big fellas. And I loved it. And Ewan frustrates me because he's just his own worst enemy sometimes here. And it's not just, oh, you're saying that based off 3 games here. No, it's kind of been his thing. The only thing keeping Malik Ewan from being an all-league big man is Malik Ewan. That's it. And he played very, very well against Memphis, which tells me that he's a gamer, because that was the night that Arkansas faced some adversity. Pringle was in foul trouble right away. Kind of needed somebody to step up, and I thought he did that for Arkansas, so that's good. I think that's a really positive sign, but it was still only scratching the surface of what that guy's capable of. I'm telling you, he's a hooper. And we haven't seen him operate in the face-up game or attacking DHOs or high post ISOs where he's just so lethal. and where I think he could cook in a game like he's going to have on Saturday. We've seen him go, crazy on the glass in games at Florida State, and on the offensive glass, he's been real solid, but has he really been getting after it on the defensive boards? You're going to need him to moving forward. It's just a consistency thing, and I don't want to beat a dead horse because I know we talk about it, but what I'm saying here is this can be a really, really potent group in the front court for Arkansas. It absolutely can, but as a whole, they definitely need to level up for Saturday. They've got to level up. You faced some good front courts already. Cincinnati had good bigs, talented bigs. Mustafa Thiam, one of the best shot blockers in the country, 7'2", big fella that is pretty versatile. Baba Miller is kind of Trevin Brazil light, so brought that stretch skill set, athleticism. Aaron Bradshaw, a former 5-star who played for Cal, super athletic, bouncy, rim running type of big man there. You've seen some good ones, but this is different. What you're going to see at Michigan State. Think Big Ten. Think bruising, physical. Smart, fundamentally sound. It's a completely different type of challenge, also on the road. Like Cal said, this is going to be a football game, man, and I believe him when he says that because I watch these guys play, and that's kind of the vibe that you get down there. And when you're on the road playing against a physical team in their own house like that, are you going to get the benefit of the calls? Are they going to call that elbow? You know what I mean? Are you going to get over the back? Are they going to call that if you're trying to box it? No, you're not going to get those things. That's just kind of life out there. You got to be able to play through it. And I'm anxious to see how Arkansas responds physically. Because Tom Izzo is challenging those dudes over there in the front court to be more aggressive on the glass, to take a more assertive attitude as it comes to defending. I think Michigan State is likely going to start double bigs. Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler. And, Cooper is... he's been there for a while. He's 6'11", 245 pounds, and he's kind of been a role player there for him for his entire career. A guy who, he'll come in, he'll give you, 6 to 8 points, right? 5 to 6 rebounds and call it a night. He's in the right spots. He's a ball mover. He doesn't command a whole lot of attention and everything out there on the floor. He doesn't need to get a bunch of touches to be effective. That kind of guy. Now, I think that Arkansas is going to have a pretty distinct advantage by going with Trevin Brazil at the 4. I just do. He's super, super athletic. We know that. That's going to be hard for a guy like Cooper to deal with, in my opinion. So what is that going to look like? Are they going to try to counter it by being physical with TB? I just feel like if he drags this kid out on the perimeter, it's going to be tough sledding for him. We might see more of the freshman Cam Ward for Michigan State, 6'8", 225, really talented. He was a top 50 kid in his class and has a little bit more athleticism. You might see him go with Cohen Carr a little bit. They're like their version of a Dude Thero, like their mini Thero, where they just try to get smaller and match Arkansas's athleticism. Although I will say that's a risky proposition for him because you probably want a guy like Carr to be able to guard your wings. Like, Carter, knock on wood, hopefully he plays, or Billy, or whatever. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to follow. But Jackson Kohler is the one that I worry about that could give Arkansas some problems. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. 6'9", 245 pounds. He's a below the rim type of post player, type of big man. So you're going to have an athleticism advantage there with Nick Pringle, Malik Ewan, whoever. I think Arkansas could give him some problems if they're able to drag him out on the perimeter, get him in ball screen action. Now he's pretty mobile, but not nearly as athletic as those guys. So where I worry about it is on the other end for Arkansas, because this dude literally talks about embracing playing like a psycho. And he does. He's crazy out there. He's yelling, he's beating his chest, he's going, balls to the wall 100 miles an hour at all times. And, he's pretty effective in there. He's very smart, knows how to use his body, seals hard. It feels like he always has really, really good positioning. He's kind of got that old school, traditional back to the basket post game, which I appreciate. And so it's a deal where if you're playing behind him and he's getting those post ISOs, he'll get to the free throw line on you. And he shot 9 free throws in Michigan State's first game against Colgate. And I just worry about with a guy like Pringle who's so aggressive, if he gets caught behind him and gets in foul trouble, especially early, then that kind of puts you in a little bit of a bind. He's also super aggressive on the boards, which is crazy because like I said, he's kind of a below the rim guy, but he just has a nose for the ball. And he's like a bowling ball in there. He's kind of like Elmer, where if he's running through the lane, he's going to clear out the rest of it for everybody else. So I think he had 16 points, 15 rebounds in their first game. So Arkansas is going to have their hands full with him. And it's not like he puts up crazy numbers. He did in that game. He started for him and played quite a bit last year. I want to say he averaged like 7-8 points and about 7 rebounds. But he had some huge games for him. He can also step out and knock down a spot up three. So, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for Arkansas. They're going from facing really athletic front courts to the big, strong, bruising types down there. So, we'll see what it looks like for the Razorbacks. It's a good challenge for them. We'll talk about the backcourt and stuff a little bit more tomorrow. But at the end of the day, I think Arkansas needs those guys to be able to step up and play physically. It's funny, we talked about the freshmen and how talented they are and what it's going to look like for them on the road. We talked about the returners, and you wouldn't schedule a game like this unless you had some returning pieces that you felt good about, who you've gone to wars with, you played in physical games with, and that's exactly what you have in TB and DJ and Billy and Carter. And we didn't even mention the transfers yesterday, but I mean, these are the type of games that you went out and got these guys for. Nick Pringle was made in the lab to take on defensive matchups like he's going to have with Jackson Kohler, and Malik Ewan was built in the lab to be able to take advantage of front courts like this with his offensive skill set. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. I'm also looking forward to seeing what my house looks like after my man Brett comes out. I guess it's going to be either Thursday or Friday. He's coming out. He sent me the mock-ups. This is crazy, by the way. Over at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, who we're talking about right now, sent me 4 different mock-ups, 4 different sketches of what we could do for Christmas lighting. And me and Michelle sat around the house and debated it for a long time. And then finally we picked one. I sent it to him. I said, man, this is the winner. And he said, done. So I'm looking forward to him coming down here and giving us a switch over from Halloween to Christmas lighting. Is it too early? I mean, we're in November, but we haven't hit Thanksgiving yet. Like, I'm just wondering, am I just getting in the holiday spirit too soon? Like, if I have the Christmas lights up, does that mean I have to put the Christmas tree up right away? Will they do that for me? I might have to hit them up. You should hit them up. Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, man. They're awesome. If you're in Northwest Arkansas or the River Valley and you don't have the time or the resources to get decked out for the holidays, but you want it to be done, let them do it for you. Hit up Brett for a free estimate today, 479-459-1380. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. They're awesome. Last thing that I want to talk about today, I'm glad I have my notes in my pocket. Why do the computers hate Arkansas? Like, why does this have to happen? They just have the uncanny ability to just fade Arkansas every year. It's unbelievable. There have been times in the past, and what I'm talking about is some of these metrics that we get into come March Madness time, right? KenPom and Torvik and the BPI. They tend to be lower on Arkansas. And for the longest, I would always throw an excuse out there for them, and I would say, hey, man, this is Eric Musselman team. You don't have any returners. There's no continuity. So early in the season, they don't know how to evaluate you because there's nothing to go off. Like, you don't have a bunch of returning stats to lean on. Yeah, you got some transfers who did things elsewhere, but it's just complicated. It's difficult to project. So they don't know. Let the games play out and let the chips fall where they may. Well, that's still true here, but I kind of thought that this would be the season where it was an exception for Arkansas, because what they do with these things is there's preseason bias baked in. There has to be, otherwise it's really difficult to rank. And these are also predictive style metrics, and what that means, they're not resume based. So it uses your forecast of your efficiencies offensively and defensively, and it's kind of got an algorithm there, and it gets more and more accurate the more you play because they have more data to plug into it, and it predicts what your outcomes are going to be. So that's really what this is. And I just thought, man, Arkansas's got these 4 returners coming back from a Sweet 16 team. It feels like they're probably going to be pretty high on them. Well, the problem is I don't think that these particular metrics are very high on Arkansas's returners, maybe the way that we are. And what I mean by that is, if you think about it, you look at Carter Knox's production last year. and you look at Trevin's production last year, you look at Billy's production last year, and if you just get that, again, in a vacuum, how much does that excite you? Like, it's returning experience. Those guys were all solid contributors, but you kind of need them to be a little bit more than they were a season ago, right? And we are all excited about it because we know how much Carter's improved. We know the strides that Billy's made. Hell, TB looks like a completely different player. So we are doing our own projecting, but I don't think that these guys got the benefit of the doubt as much in some of these computer algorithms. So you take that into account. Freshmen are very difficult to project because you don't have any college sample size for them. And we know that that everybody's sleeping on, Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff, which, by the way, I know a lot of people were pissed about Rivals on 3. They updated their 2026 rankings. Shocker. JJ Andrews at 28 and Abdu Torres at 29. Especially with JJ, just way lower than anyone else has them. I will just point out to you that the same people did the rankings last year. They had Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas at 21 and 23, and we know how stupid that is here in hindsight, right? So I wouldn't read too much into that, to be honest with you. I know it's frustrating, and I know JJ Andrews has been publicly frustrated about it. Like, he's out there on Twitter in these social media streets just saying, dude, this is crazy. Like, I'm back-to-back Peach Jam champion. All I do is win. I'm taking it to these guys. My number's there. My production's there. Like, what do I need to do to please you, Mr. Non-ball knower? I get it, man. I'm with you. Listen, you are a 5-star top 5 player in the Pod the Palace 2026 rankings, my guy. So believe that. But back to the point, I digress a little bit. It is difficult to project for these freshmen. And then, yeah, you got the 2 transfer big men, but they were at different places, different circumstances, different teams, different programs, different styles of play. So it can be a little bit tricky there. Now, Ken Pom, we talked about that. Actually, I think the last time I did one of these little quote unquote, walk and talk, whatever the hell you want to call it, outside, not in front of my computer and traditional camera episodes, we talked about those Ken Pom rankings and had Arkansas at 29. And we were thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, this doesn't even make any sense. How? And what irritates me about that is, Arkansas had a great showing against Southern. They moved up 4 spots to 25, and they're already moving back down. And I just don't understand why. Torvik, we'll give them credit where it's due. They were the highest on the Hogs. They had them at 16th coming into the year. I think the last time I checked, they were at 15th. At least that's a little bit more respectable. But folks, I don't know what ESPN's BPI is doing. I know a lot of people are irritated about that. I think Arkansas started at 39th. They beat a team by 32 points and scored 109 points doing it, and they were shorthanded. And then you wake up the next day and they had moved down to 42. Like, who had a better showing than Arkansas? Like, show me those teams that moved ahead of them. I just don't understand. BPI sucks, man. BPI sucks. FPI sucks. Here's what's crazy to me. The football, the FPI, the Football Power Index at ESPN, has always been high on Arkansas, even when they suck. Like, I remember that last year when they went 6-6 or whatever, and every time they would win a game, you'd wake up the next day and you go look at the update, and there they were at 25. And you're like, what the hell? They're 4-4. Like, what are we talking about here? Basketball, is winning 20 games a season and doing all this stuff, and they've got all this hype going into the year, and just fading them into oblivion. And then they're winning games, and you continue to drop them. Like, when your algorithm is pumping out that type of stuff and you're getting those results, you got to think, ooh, we might need to tweak our formula a little bit. That way it makes a little bit of sense. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I don't know, man, but here's what I will say. The way to get back in the good graces here, because the season does play out, the games have to be played, right? Efficiency. It's very important. Arkansas has been highly efficient on the defensive end of the floor in the past. Top 20, that helps you, but what's held them back? It's their offensive efficiency. Why? Because they don't make enough threes, and they haven't been good enough on the offensive glass. And so they've been hovering in that 50 to 60 range every year. And if you just think about the averages there, that's why we always look up, and Arkansas seems to be somewhere between 20 and 35 or whatever at the end of the year in these metrics. Even though we know they're a better team than that, that's kind of how the math works. So that stuff is really important. Covering the projected spreads. Like if you go to all these places and you see, okay, Arkansas is a 24-point favorite against Southern. They're a 3-point dog at Michigan State, whatever. By covering that, it's going to then be baked into their algorithm. And so that's where we go into style points that Arkansas didn't get last year because they were shorthanded, they were injured, they were having to take the air out of the ball late in games. And instead of beating, Little Rock by 30, you beat them by a dozen. Instead of beating Pacific by 25, you beat them by 14. And that stuff limited Arkansas a little bit as well. You saw it, and they played a team like Oakland, and they blasted them by 30, and they got a big bump. And you're like, oh, wow, that's cool. Give me more of that. When they beat up on UCA down in Little Rock, they got a big bump. And it's because they covered those expected spreads. So that's another way to build yourself back up in those in these stupid ass computer rankings that drive everybody nuts, but it matters. And the reason why it matters is because all these things, when the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee is picking their teams for March Madness and putting them in their seed orders and everything else, these are the metrics that they look at. These are the predictive metrics that they look at. KenPom, Torvik, BPI. You got some other stuff, strength of record, you got wins above bubble, those kind of things. Those are resume-based metrics, but all that stuff matters. And that's why I get pissed off about it when I think Arkansas is way too low going into the year, because it's easier to be in a place and stay there than it is to be slept on and have to climb throughout the course of the year. Now, Arkansas is going to do it because they're going to win a lot of games, but it's irritating. Now, if we're not happy with where Arkansas is in BPI or KenPom or whatever, here's another thing that you can do in the immediate future. Go beat Michigan State on the road in the second game of the year. That's going to be one of the top 2 or 3 potential best wins that any team in the country can have at this point, because like we just said, nobody is going on the road and doing this early in the season. So if Arkansas is able to go out there and take care of business, that should give them a big boost. If it doesn't, we're going to demand that Ken Pomeroy or whoever the heck does ESPN BPI over there come and interview and speak for themselves on the Pod at the Palace. That's what we're going to do, okay? Anyway, rant over. This wound up being all right. I appreciate everybody. I don't know how much you guys pay attention to the graphics that we put up every day, and obviously we love our sponsors and our advertisers, and we like to put up their little graphics there as well when we do the ad reads, but I'm happy that we got them all in. I just, man, I feel bad. Parenthood's such a blessing, man, and we love it. Our little man turned 2 months old today, and we compared his picture from 1 month to 2 months. He's like twice as big, and he's longer than my wiener dog now. It's just he's growing like a weed. It's unbelievable, and it just you know how it is as a parent. It just breaks your heart when your kiddo is upset, whether there's something actually wrong with him or not. It just makes you feel bad, and it's really difficult to focus on things, and just had to get out of the house and do this one. Otherwise, you guys would be experiencing what we're experiencing in the house right now, which is a pissed off little man. So anyway, appreciate everybody for your patience and for hanging out with us again. Shout out to the coffee club. I know you guys are watching this morning, and we'll be back in the studio and have some stuff for you on Friday. We'll see. We got Darius Acuff Thursday at 10 a.m. So we'll react to some of the things that he had to say, get a little bit deeper into some of this preview for this Michigan State game. I'm looking for somebody over there who covers Michigan State to maybe hop on and talk with us for 10 to 15 minutes about that. A lot of people say, like, Curtis, why don't you do more interviews with people? And the reason why is because I got to be honest with you, we've done some interviews in the past, and some of our other shows do interviews, and y'all don't watch them. So I don't know if it's something with our own algorithm or whatever, but when we introduce something new into the fold or somebody new into the fold, the views tend to be way down. And that's a big part of the reason why I haven't done it, because every day at the end of the day, when I go look to see how an episode does and I see the amount of people who watch, I'm like, holy crap, man, this is crazy. This is humbling to think that, so many people just want to tune in and listen to me walk around my neighborhood and yap about Razorback basketball. But damn, it's pretty cool, man. It feels good. So thank you guys sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Love you. We're all one big happy family here with the Inside Arkansas crew. We'll be back tomorrow. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod of the Palace. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the morning.